The Rockin' Hockey Show!
The Rockin' Hockey Show. I'm your host, Dave Maxime, and we are here live today with Brianne McLaughlin, Olympian, two-time Olympian, 2 silver medals in 2010, 2014, Isabel Cup champion in the NWHL, MVP of the finals, NCAA record for all-time saves, 2 gold medals in World Championships, a gold medal in the Four Nations Cup. Did I get it all?
Sure.
Or have like a bling night where you wear all your bling out to dinner or something like that?
That's a pretty popular question though. Do I go grocery shopping with my medals?
I was just going to say that. You ever go grocery shopping with all your medals? So what's next for you? I mean, what do you do after something like that? After all these things? Is this the beginning of your career? Or are you tapering it down?
So what, last year was my first year, I like to say, of real life. I wanted to kind of have like 1 year before we started having family. But I have a business back in Pittsburgh where I'm coaching the little ones. Not all little ones, but I have my own little facility and I do camps in the summers.
Awesome.
Kind of switch it up a little bit and getting into doing like a lot of like video stuff so I can work with kids from all over instead of just in my area.
Of all your successes in hockey, what do you look at as your finest moment?
It's probably the Isabel Cup game. That was my most fun.
So let's talk about your youth hockey a little bit. Growing up, did you play boys hockey or was it girls hockey all?
Yeah, we didn't have girls. I played boys until my junior year of high school. So I just played kind of like club teams, and then my sophomore year I played with our like high school boys team. I did that, and then I made my first USA development camp, and it was suggested to, if you want to play Division I hockey, you got to switch over to the girls for recruiting purposes. So,
with all the successes you had, at what point did you know, hey, I'm pretty good? When did it was it that at that time when you were playing with your last year with the boys, or was it beforehand?
Like when I was really little, women's hockey wasn't in the Olympics, so I was pretty clueless. I was in my own little world anyways, so not that I really paid attention, but we weren't able to have this dream of playing in the Olympics. It was like, I want to play in the NHL.
Or the NWHL, yeah.
Nobody had the heart to tell you that you weren't going to play in the NHL, so you just went on believing that. So my big thing was to play Division I hockey, and when I made that development camp and having the coaches tell you, like, yeah, that could probably be a thing, but these are the steps that you need to take, and kind of the road to get me there, and then it became a goal and more of like a thing to start revolving my life around and work towards.
And that was going to be my next question, is that once you realized that you were going to start working towards that, how much did your development or mental focus really change?
But my dad was an athlete. He played college football, so he was sort of like the captain of the team, so his mental preparation and focus and goal setting was always really, really good. So he was the person that kind of put me on my path and kind of mentored me towards what I want out of my career and anything that I want. I always worked hard. I liked working hard. I just loved to play the sport. I would play at any point. It puts you on the straight and narrow,
Right.
Like everyone's going out partying. Well, how does that look if I'm trying to get a Division I scholarship, or I have practice tomorrow, so I can't do that. So I think that became the point where the sacrifices came in. Once I start setting goals, and
in your game,
it's easier to make decisions based on what you want when you know.
And you mentioned too your mental preparation that you learned from your dad. You don't have to go out and train for 4 or 5 hours every day or do something special. I mean, it certainly helps, but it's not a recipe for success. But learning to get yourself prepared so when you're on the ice, you're focused, you're dialed in, you're not making mental mistakes, you're taking care of your body. Just little things like that any player can do, even if they're 10, 12 years old and they're just trying to improve their game, as they don't have to go on a training regimen. They can just learn to be more focused.
Yeah. I think at every level, what I had learned and what I always try to tell, especially the college kids, it's like every kid on the college team was the best player on their team from high school, and you kind of set the tone for the team. And then you get to college and you're like, oh, I thought I was working hard, but everybody here works 10 times harder than I do. So then, okay, now you become the hardest worker on your college team or the most dedicated or whatever it is that you're trying to do. And then that was good enough there, but then you make the national team, and it's like, well, that's a whole nother level too. So you hear the saying, there's always somebody out there working harder or whatever. So trying to get the kids to understand that, the ones that I coach, is
hockey players out there, if you had to give them one piece of advice, and it doesn't have to say become a better skater or whatever, it could be anything in life, what would that be?
Looking back on everything that I was able to do, it's kind of cliche, but everybody says, like, you know, it takes a village, or it's the people that you surround yourself with, and I found that to be so true. Everybody's kind of a product of their environment, and when you surround yourself with good people that want the best for you and are going to push you to be, you know, better, people around you that are going to support you, and your family especially. My family never missed a game. So whether you don't have that support system, it's finding new friends, and always figuring out new and unique ways to love the game in order to keep you on track for what you want. After my last Olympics, I had come back and was a U10 coach for like our, you know, girls AAA program, and I really loved that. And just sitting in the hotel with all the parents listening, I wanted to get involved in the women's side of the game and have these opportunities that, you know, we never had. I was opportunities. There's no girls' camps. They have to change in the locker or in the bathrooms, and I know all of those stories. I lived every single one of them. And not every girl fits in with a boys' hockey team. So I feel like if you're going to do something you love, you should be, you know, in an environment that you love as well too. So I started my girls' camp back in 2014, and I think there's a lot offered that's like, you know, work all the time,
Right.
which is great when you get to a certain age, and you need to understand that, and you need to develop that at certain ages. But when they're these little mini guys, that's when you learn your passion for the sport and why you're even going to set goals in the first place, and why I need to do this is because you love it so much. So when that's taken away from you at such a young age, it's just work all the time, and eventually they're not going to love it anymore. So there's always time for it to be a job or whatever. So I found that the kids that are most successful, or, you know, on the national team, no, there wasn't a kid on there that was their parents' dream for them to make it to the Olympics.
Right.
It was their own dream.
Right.
They spent that extra 10 minutes in the basement because they wanted to. And I've kind of developed my camps over the last 4 or 5 years to be, it is supposed to be fun, but working hard is fun. And
Right.
competing with your buddy and knocking him over is fun. It's not like, oh, sorry for knocking you over. Like, stand up.
And the success you have from working hard is what I would always tell my students or my players that I coach is work hard first. Fun comes from working hard, because you're going to have some success when you do
You
that.
watch any NHL goalies practice, and they're doing it every single day.
Yep.
Like, I played until I was 30, and every time I stepped on the ice, I did the same movement drills, the same tracking drills, 20 to my glove, 20 to my blocker, and it's that constant muscle memory every single day. It's not.
If you had to give 2 tips to young goalies out there, what would it be?
An important one that we would always, us 3 goalies on the national team, we were really, really close, but something we would always say, short-term memory loss. Because every game it's on your shoulders, right? And it's so easy to get in your own head, or, you know, it comes down to this penalty shot. Well, if I'm sitting here worried about, I'm going to let my whole team down, or it's all up to me, like, that's not going to help me save a puck. Or I let the first shot in of the game. Well, there's still, you know, another 58 minutes. You got to be able to pull yourself out and finish strong for your team. So you got to be able to let that stuff go. Or maybe you had an awesome first period. Well, you got to let it go because there's a second and a third. Right. So it goes both ways, negative and positive. But you see goalies get frustrated, they let in another goal. Then they get even more mad, they let in another goal, and it's a domino effect of negativity. So enjoying that pressure on your shoulders. It is on your shoulders. You're the last line in defense, and you got to come up big for your team. So learning to accept that pressure, but love it as well.
Excellent. Listen, thank you for coming on the show, and I'm looking forward to, we're going to go on the ice later and work on some goalie stuff. Looking forward to that. We might even get a knee hockey challenge coming in soon. So, Brianne McLaughlin, Rockin' Hockey Show.